All right, our final speaker before today's interview, Karen Houghton, is the culture keeper and community builder of the Atlanta Tech Village. Over the past 5 years, Karen has shaped the Atlanta Tech Village into America's 4th largest tech hub. Within those 5 years, she supported companies like Rigor, IO Education, SalesLoft, Terminus, Calendly, and hundreds more to achieve greater success by connecting them to community, talent, and capital. When Karen has a break from the hustle and bustle of the ATV, she's definitely drinking the freshest batch of hand-poured coffee in the building. Let's give it up for Karen Houghton.
Thank you. Hey everyone, my name is Karen Houghton, and I have one of the best jobs in the entire world. I'm so excited to be chatting about culture with you guys today because not only am I passionate about it, I've dedicated more than 10,000 hours into building and creating community and culture here at Atlanta Tech Village. So if it's your first time here, raise your hand. All right, awesome, welcome. We're so glad to have you guys. We are currently sitting in America's 4th largest tech hub. We have over 300 startups and over 1,000 people. And those startups have raised $500 million and created over 3,600 jobs in less than 5 years. Now, what's crazy is that these stats are not even what we value most. What we value most is that we have created a kind, collaborative community of badass entrepreneurs who want to change the world. Our mission here at Atlanta Tech Village is to support and inspire those entrepreneurs by providing faster connections between talent, ideas, and capital. We truly believe that we are the very best place to grow and build a startup. We have 2 overarching goals. The first is to help drive Atlanta into one of the top 5 tech cities in the US. And the second is to create 10,000 jobs in our first 10 years. Around the village, you hear the words community and culture a whole lot, and intentionally so. Far too often, culture is not made a priority for startups and larger companies. It's considered secondary, or even kind of this fluffy thing. But there is so much research that says otherwise. Here's just a few stats for you. First off, 64% of employees feel that they don't have a strong work culture. And turnover at those companies with a poor work culture is 48%. Now compare that to companies with a really great culture, and that number drops to only 14%. And did you know that peers and camaraderie are the #1 reason employees go the extra mile? It's not about the money. And finally, companies with engaged employees outperform those without them by over 200%. You guys, culture is important, and it does impact your bottom line. Now, remember when I said that we scaled to over 1,000 people in less than 5 years? Well, we were able to do that while maintaining a Net Promoter Score of 76. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with NPS, it's essentially a metric used to look at your detractors and your promoters. The scale goes from -100 to 100. If you have a score of 50, you are considered excellent. If you have a score of over 70, you are considered world class. So yes, Atlanta Tech Village and Tesla, we're both kind of a big deal. Now, in addition to those NPS scores, we've also maintained a 100% occupancy rate. This means at any given time, we have 10 to 20 companies on our wait list. And as those startups graduate out and those founders achieve an exit or an acquisition, we're now starting to see them already come back around for their next company. So what's our secret sauce? How do we do this? Well, the good news is that it's actually not that secret at all. You see, from the very, very beginning, we intentionally built a culture that would attract the very best entrepreneurs. There's never been any secret to who we are or who we aspire to be. From day one, we had a clearly defined mission. We had clearly defined goals, and we had clearly defined core values. So, what are those core values? Be nice, dream big, work hard, play hard, and pay it forward. They almost seem stupid simple, but they've done an incredible job of curating our community for us. So what is culture? Well, culture is a set of shared beliefs, values, and practices. Think of it as the system that powers your company. You may have heard of this guy. He says smart things sometimes, and one of them is that the only sustainable competitive advantage that is completely in control of the leadership team is corporate culture. You guys know there are so many things in the startup world that we cannot control, but we can choose how we want to run our company and the people that we choose to spend time with day in and day out. You see, at Atlanta Tech Village, it has never been about the office space. It's about the entrepreneurs. The building is simply what brings us all together. So how do you create culture? Don't worry, I'm going to give you 3 steps. Ready? All right, number 1 is take the time to spell it out. I can't tell you how many times over the last 5 years someone has approached me and said, hey, Karen, I would love to hear about how you guys have really built such a special community and culture at the Village. Because they want to replicate it and they want to learn from it. And I'm always happy to help. But I always start by asking a few questions first. I say, great, I would love to hear about your mission. What are your goals? What are your core values and how have you communicated those to your team? 9 out of 10 times, you know what I get? Crickets. Because the majority of founders don't take the time to prioritize culture and create that foundation for their team. It may seem like common sense, but if you've not written it down and lived it out and communicated that to your team, I can guarantee you that they probably lack clarity and direction. If you don't take the time to spell it out, they probably don't know why they're there and what's expected of them. For the Atlanta Tech Village team, we were roughly 2 years in when I started to realize that those minimum requirements of that overarching umbrella of be nice, dream big, work hard, play hard, and pay it forward, they were not quite enough. We had a very young team. And we needed something that provided a little more guidance and kind of expectations for day-to-day interactions. So, because America, we went the democratic approach. And over a few different meetings, we had the team give us adjectives that described not only how we were currently working, but what we aspired to be. And then, we put those into a few buckets, and we did some wordsmithing. And at the end, we achieved buy-in from every single person on our team. And here's what we came up with. Assume the best, treat each other like family, and have a willingness to sweep the floors. By assuming the best, all of a sudden, we were able to solve conflict that we were really struggling with before. And we were already treating each other like family. We attend weddings, we attend funerals, and we attend baby showers. We truly care for our people inside and outside of this building. Having a willingness to sweep the floors meant that no job was too small. No one on the Village team will ever say, that's not my job, I'm not going to do it. We all pitch in to help achieve the greater goals. You see, while staying true to those core values we had, we were able to have a more defined purpose that we collectively created together. Bottom line is that we took the time to spell it out. not only for Atlanta Tech Village, but also for our team. Number 2, hire for culture fit. In the HubSpot culture deck, they say that culture is to recruiting as product is to marketing. Think about it like this. Great product attracts customers, while great culture attracts strong people. Think of the values as the captain of your ship. They ensure that everybody is aligned and they're all rowing in the same direction. If you get misaligned, you're going to get off course, or at the very least, it's going to take you a lot longer to get where it is that you want to go. And now remember, it also doesn't matter what kind of oars you have or what kind of boat you're in or even what direction you decide to go. What matters is that you're rowing together. And your values can do that. Because when you're rowing together, you have an aligned, motivated culture, which is an incredibly powerful way to build a great company. It can look a little something like this. But before you start rowing together, you also have to make sure that you have the right people on the ship. And it may not look like that guy. You can do this through something called intentional hiring. Intentional hiring means you're very strategically looking for the right culture fit for your team. How I define culture fit is by looking at skill and/or capability, your experience, and if those people are already living out what you decided your core values were. I believe that all 3 of those things should be weighted equally. Now, sometimes people hear the word culture fit and they think, well, you're just trying to hire somebody who looks like you and thinks like you. That can't be further from the truth, you guys. Culture fit simply means that you have a foundation where you're getting alignment and you all know that you're going to be building a company in the same direction with the right value proposition. Once you find that culture fit, I encourage you to choose diversity. Intentionally look for people who do not look like you, who have a different perspective and a different background. Because I strongly believe that diverse teams are better teams. At Atlanta Tech Village, our culture fit is actually the result of a carefully constructed application process that attracts the right kind of founders. Unlike traditional co-working facilities, we actually have a multi-step application process with intentional friction points. We do this because we want to make sure that we're curating the right kind of founder for our community. So here's a little what that looks like. First, you have to sign up for a member tour, and they're only offered on certain times at certain days. And guess what? You have to go online and reserve your spot. It's amazing how many tech startups that actually filters out already. Once they come on the tour, we get to know them, and we hear about what they're working on, and we share about our mission and our values and our community. But we also observe you. And we think, are they engaging? Are they excited to be here? Are they talking with us? If you're the dude that comes in late and sits in the back and doesn't talk to anyone and you're on your phone the whole time, I'm going to go ahead and tell you that we're going to give you a hard pass. At the end of that hour-long tour, we verbally give you the instructions for follow-up. That's right, we don't even follow up with them. We wait. Are they really self-starting? Do they have initiative to actually follow up with us? And when they do, we get that application and we look at proprietary technology and a business plan and their LinkedIn and their social media and why do they want to be a part of the village. And all of this is very intentional because we want to make sure that they are the right kind of founder for our community. And we need to make sure that they are able to decide if we are the kind of right community for them. Because after all, life is too short to work with assholes. That's right, people. I don't care how cool the technology is or what name you drop, Dave Cummings. I get that a good bit. What matters is that you're a good fit for us. And you guys, we do have some people slip through the cracks. It happens. And somebody raised their hand back there. We'll talk after this. what happens with that, you guys, is we actually work really quickly to identify them. And yes, we fire them and remove them from the community. That's how much we value what we've created here and how much we want to preserve our culture. Because we're in it together, right? This building is open 24/7. We're experiencing the startup highs and the startup lows. We celebrate successes together, and we make sure that when there's failure, we do not attach shame. We truly believe, from our Net Promoter Scores and the wait list for office spaces, that this is the kind of community that entrepreneurs want to be a part of. You guys, it would be so easy to only be about selling office space. We are a for-profit, double bottom line business. Our business model is selling memberships, and we have to sell a lot of them. And because of this, we live in this tension of our profitability goals versus our desire to build a kind, collaborative community. But we choose to live within this space. And we choose to live within this tension because we know that if we were only focused on revenue, that our community would look very, very different. All right, so we've spelled out our values, and we've recruited the right people. But you can't stop, won't stop there. The third and final step is repeat, repeat. That's right, people. It's not enough to just pick some pretty words and put them on your website and call them your core values and maybe mention them as you interview different candidates for your team. You have to actually do stuff to create a living, breathing culture. And remember, there's no right or wrong culture, but whatever you decide it is, you have to be consistent. You have to develop a rhythm that ensures that your mission and your goals and your core values stay top of mind. My rule of thumb is that if you aren't tired of hearing yourself say it, then you probably have not said it enough. At Atlanta Tech Village, we strategically place our core values throughout our entire building. They're on our lanyards and our key cards. They're over our water fountains. They're in our parking decks and on our walls and TVs and in our Wi-Fi password. And we do this because we never want our members to forget who we are and what we are about. For the Atlanta Tech Village, with living out those core values every day, in every interaction with members, with guests, with vendors, and strategic partners. And because of that, we have chosen to hire relationship builders across the board. From our director of security to our facilities team and our events manager, every single one of them is values-driven and mission-minded. Because for us, it is not enough to just sell a membership. We truly want to know what is life like for our entrepreneurs and how can we better support them. For the Atlanta Tech Village team, we've developed our own rhythm of culture. That means every Monday we have a team meeting. And then afterwards we go out to lunch. We simply break bread together. We have quarterly outings. Those quarterly outings, yes, we do strategic planning and we have themes. But we also do fun social activities together. And we have village-versaries. This is what we call our work anniversaries. And we acknowledge them, and we give them a special gift. And David Lightburn and myself handwrite a thank you note to that team member, thanking them specifically for what they contributed to our team that year. And we have something we call cheat sheets. And they have our branch promise and our mission and our values. And we've given them to every single member of our team to put on their desk. And we have them hanging in our office on the wall. Because the other thing I realized is that no matter how much we say it, sometimes people on our team can't always articulate them. And my worry is that that could lead to a weak culture. So here's my challenge for you. Without any warning, you should just walk up to somebody on your team and say, hey, do you know what our values are, our mission, or our goals? you may get a response that looks a little something like this. You see, I do this to the Village team. On those Monday meetings I mentioned, I seriously just call on people and put them on the spot and say, hey, tell me the goals and mission, give me your 30-second pitch on the Village. And they hate it. And it's so uncomfortable. And when I first started doing it, it was met with silence and fumbling words. But I kept asking. And eventually they realized I was not going to stop. And they started to learn them. And today, our team can articulate these often better than myself. And I'm so proud of this because not only is it in their heart, but it means it's always top of mind. You see, the Village culture is a natural derivative of our core values, and it's real, and it's authentic. And our startups know that we are their biggest fans. You guys, culture is a living, breathing thing. It should be something that you feel when you walk into a room, and it should be something that you feel when you talk to somebody on that team. Our startups love our culture. We have something that people want to be a part of. And that connection as a group and as a startup family is a very powerful thing. You guys, there are so many things that we cannot control in the startup world. But again, you can control how you run your business and the people that you choose to spend time with day in and day out. And so I encourage you to take the time to choose wisely. Clarify what you value. Get the right people on the boat, and then confidently and consistently steer them in the right direction. And remember that at Atlanta Tech Village, we have never been about the office space. We are about the entrepreneurs and the collaborative community they create and the successes that our culture can inspire. The building is simply what brings us all together. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Fantastic. Wow, that was good. Any questions? Yes, Hubert.
Hey, Karen.
What's up, Hubert?
Great job.
Thanks.
I have a question about making sure that we are hiring with diversity while maintaining. So we want people to be culture fits, but how can we ensure that we're hiring culture adds as well?
I think it's just being intentional and choosing that. I think there's a lot of ways that people can take the easy way out and just saying, well, there are no diverse candidates. Okay, well, where are you getting your candidates? Have you intentionally chosen to be in different schools and in different places? And who are you networking with and who are you connecting with? I think if you intentionally say, hey, we want to make sure that we have more diversity to make us a stronger team, then you're going to find people who have different perspectives. And a big part of it, at least for the Village, so we actually launched an initiative earlier this year. It was called It Takes a Village, and it was a diversity campaign. Ideally, yes, you shouldn't have to put a campaign on it, but right now, in this world today, we do. And for us, it was a big learning curve because we were like, of course we want diversity. Of course this is something, everyone is welcome. But as we kind of started to delve a little deeper, we were like, man, well, how are we assuming that? How are people just supposed to know that? And so by creating this campaign, we were very intentional about putting out there and recruiting diverse founders and more female founders and giving scholarships and saying, this is a place where we want you. Not only are you welcome, we want to bring you into this fold because you'll make us better. And I think if you can develop that message, it goes a really long way, and it just accelerates as it goes.
Hey, Karen.
Hey, Anand.
Great presentation. Thanks for sharing those tidbits and insights. In terms of building a strong community, can you share a little bit about how it, and maybe this is lessons for startups as well that are growing, how that's manifested itself in terms of retention and advocacy?
Yeah, well, one of those slides was the turnover rates, right? That was crazy when I saw that.
I missed that slide, sorry.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot in that way, sorry. But yeah, so I mean, some of those stats say it's like if you don't have a strong work culture, that turnover rate can be 48%. But if you really have a strong work culture, it decreases all the way down to 14%. And right, it's also just common sense, right? So if you just think, hey, what kind of company do I want to work for? Especially if you guys are attracting, right? Startups often do younger talent, right? They're a little more affordable, they're a little hungrier. How do you create a place where people want to be? And that's not that hard, right? It's a culture kind of centric place. That's what millennials want. And to think about it, it's what you want. Don't you want to be somewhere someone values you, where you have camaraderie, where you're able to connect and build community with your team and with your customers? That's the founder's job. If you guys simply take the time to do that and create that rhythm and culture to make sure it's in place, recruitment and retention becomes a whole lot easier. We have a job board here at the Village, and we do a lot of different kind of things to recruit talent on behalf of our startups. But I think one of the best ways to do that is they're attracted to our culture. And so you're getting people who will come work for a startup for less money than they would if they worked for a larger corporate company. But you have to make sure what is your differentiator. And a lot of that comes down to culture for startups.
Karen, I always think that company culture really shows when people leave your organization, when you have to, let people go, because that sends a signal as to how, people are really treated. Do you have any, insights how you guys do that when someone doesn't work out? What the, exit strategy is for the person?
I do. I call it a little thing called reframing. And so we've done that kind of with some of the Village team members. If someone isn't a good fit, ideally you've given them a few warnings and you're meeting with them and you're trying to do everything you can to help improve that situation. But if they're not teachable, it's not trainable, it's not a good fit. I've often given them a timeline and just said, hey, you know what? We've gone through this. Here's this pattern. I just don't think this is the right fit for you. Let's go ahead and put a 30 days on this. And let's go ahead and start networking and see where else we can plug you in and if I can make any introductions on your behalf. Obviously, that's somebody who has good skills, but just may not be for us. As far as the Atlanta Tech Village community, we've had some hard ones. But I think the biggest important thing is that we don't want them to feel uncared for, even in a really difficult situation. And so I think that there are ways to do it where even if you want to be reactive and you have a lot of really strong things you want to say, that doesn't mean you need to say them. I think anybody who's left here, perhaps unwillingly, I've still been able to say, hey, you know what, we wish you the best. Much luck, and I think you can do it in a kind way, but still be very firm to preserve that culture because it sends a strong message to everyone around you.
Karen, in terms of when you're evaluating companies and the cultural fit and diversity, do you also look at age as part of that? Because every picture, everything's about millennials, I get it, but is that taken
Oh my
into
gosh, we
consideration?
love entrepreneurs who are a little bit older, right? Sometimes it comes from they're trying something new, right? It's like, oh my gosh, I've been in that corporate world for how long and I have to do my own thing. I've had this idea that I've been wanting for so long. It's time to take the plunge. All the way to we have a lot of repeat founders who, hey, you know what? They're in their 60s and they're on their 4th or 5th company or 6th company. And we greatly desire that. We don't want to be just a young company. So that's where that diversity, when we can get those experienced entrepreneurs, experienced businessmen and businesswomen, that provides so much because now our younger people have somebody to look up to and to show success. And a lot of times, I see Mike Burke in the crowd. So Mike Burke, Clockwise MD, that's actually there on our graduate wall. So Mike recently had an acquisition. And he's already come back, started out as a reserve desk. You didn't know I was going to put you on the spot. Started out as a reserve desk in co-working and scaled his company in the Village, and then eventually had it moved out and had an acquisition after his graduation. And we encourage them to come back. Mike is now a mentor here at the Village, and it's such an honor for me to be able to get to say, hey, especially for young founders who are in health IT, you have to go talk to Mike. He's done this before. He knows people. This is a great resource for you.
Hi, Karen.
Hey.
Not really a question, but really a compliment, because just before your presentation, I was sharing with Felipe, which is a new member here, about how you guys live up to the values you guys put everywhere, and you make sure that you guys are living up to it. So just thank you for creating this community and making sure that everybody is being nice, dreaming big, play hard, work hard, and paying forward. Thank you.
Thank you. I didn't even pay her to say that. Thank you. I know we're meeting sometime too, right? Yeah.
Thank you, Karen.
All right, thank you guys.
And you'll be around for the networking. Yes, wonderful. All right.